Hey, this is Davin with Hagerty and our Redline rebuild update with our Buick Straight 8. Today Mark has been working on our cylinder head. So we have fresh liners in our guides. So the guides have been bored out, put in a fresh liner so it's to the right size relative to the stems. And you can see we also have cut out the stock casting and put in fresh seats, obviously hardened on the exhaust side of things. So one of the things we got looking at was valve availability and then of course compression ratio. Specifically on compression ratio, this is the stock intake valve and you can see it has a huge dish, and in a minute I'll show you how much cc is being lost in the combustion chamber by having this dish in there, and that's what they came with stock. Now typically that dish is a whole lot smaller or dead straight across. So this valve here happens to be also a Buick. It's out of a Buick 400. It's slightly longer by about 70 thousandths, and it's a little bit larger in diameter. It's about 100 thousandths larger than the stock one. Since we're going to be putting in new seats, it's not a big deal. We'll bump this up. There's seemingly plenty of wall as far as in the casting. Now, when we're talking about CCing items, let's go over on the other side here. I have a beret set up. So if you're CCing a head, or in this case we're gonna kind of use it a little bit different than most people probably ever have, but I'm curious to know how much compression or chamber volume I'm losing by having this big dish into the intake valve. So all I'm gonna do is take a little bit of grease, dab it around the outside edge of this valve, and what I need to do is I need to create a seal around the plexiglass that has a hole in it that I in turn just literally feed some water and measure the volume I put in there. Okay. All right, so now that chamber is full of water. It's displaced out of the beret, and to make a measurement here, I put in exactly 2 cc. So it was we were at 87 when I started, and we're at about 89 right now. So that chamber volume, if you will, let's just take this back off. So the amount of fluid that holds is 2 cc. Now that 2 cc subtracts from, or adds to the chamber volume and subtracts from your compression ratio. All right, let's just make a little comparison here with our valve that we're going to replace it with. Yeah, we're at about half a cc on this one, so that's at least 75% improvement as far as going from this valve with a big dish in it to the new valve with a little bit lighter dish. So when every little bit counts and you're trying to add some compression ratio, you might look into how your valves are shaped on the bottom side. Now if you look in here, you'll see, actually very well, you can see like there's this ridge on the intake. Now I'm going to come in and cut some of this out and kind of smooth that out a little bit and get a little bit more flow. It's not going to be drastic, but I just got to get rid of that. I'm going to do that before he cuts the seats in. That way, if I get a little willy-nilly with my grinder and I hit that 45-degree seat that he's going to put in and be nice and fancy, I don't want to mess it up and have to redo it. So if I can do it before that, that's a much better time, because nothing else is going to change other than that angle. So we're going to actually take this head off before it's finished, take it out, we'll go back over to our shop and then go through and do that, call it port work, and clean some things up. Well, you can see I did a lot of time, at least, porting those heads. I got them a lot better than what they are. I'm not looking for dead perfect. I don't have time for that. Nor do I have a flow bench to prove every little ounce out of them. So at the end of the day, hopefully I gained about 9 horse, let's say. Let's be overly optimistic. At any rate, we're back here at Thirlby's. Mark's putting the seats in. They do look a lot better than what they were. I at least say that. And but the seats are looking fantastic. So once we get those seats in, I'm gonna actually go through then and walk through how to CC the chamber so we know what our port volume is now. Basically, we got some different valves in there and we've made some changes. So I want to understand where that's at and how that stacks up relative really to the stock piston, if nothing else, but then also where we're gonna take it for different pistons and have some custom pistons made to bring that compression ratio up to 8.5. That's my number I'm going after. I'll be happy with anything between 8 and 8.5 and we'll go from there. But it'll make it friendly for 87 octane and make it bulletproof. So here we are. Okay, as I promised earlier, we're gonna do a little CC here on our heads. I'm gonna do it before we start machining the deck. And I'll do one again after we machine it, at least the first time to get it level, because we're potentially gonna cut it down even further. But I wanna show you how much change it actually is. So in other words, when we go through and we cut 10 thousandths off of here, what does that really amount to? Obviously, it's going to be different for every head, but it gives an idea, and I think a lot of people don't get to see that or maybe even understand it. So ultimately what we're doing here is we're going to take our valves, we're going to put some grease around the seal, because I don't have springs in here, but this closes our chamber. The grease will seal the seals. I already have a spark plug in here, and it's crushed down as far as that is concerned. Then I'll take a little bit of grease, put it around the top to mimic the gasket and the seal. And then we'll use our batterette to measure how much volume we put into the chamber, and that's our size. The fluid I'm gonna use today, opposed to water I did last time, is just some Marvel Mystery Oil. That way, any remnants that are left in the chamber are not gonna rust it right away. Just push your plexiglass down. You can see it making the seal. It's gonna be pretty close to 100. Okay, so right now we're exactly, 94, 5, 6, we're at 97. So there's 90, so this chamber is 97 cc's. Now where that comes into play obviously is in the compression calculator as far as your bore, your stroke, how big your diameter of your piston is, and then that chamber size along with compression of your gasket and so on and so forth. But that's a key number as far as calculating your compression ratio. So Mark's all done decking the top of this head, and it had a little bit of a banana shape to it, if you will. So by the time we got things evened out, we took an additional 10 thousandths off through here. So I'm confident I have just a pinch over 10 thousandths decking at the cylinder that we checked before. So to make a comparison, taking 10 thousandths off of this chamber, we are at 90, basically 95 cc. So we gained in compression, we lost 2 cc in that chamber. So we have a little bit more compression relative to the heads now. So that'll help out as far as bringing that overall compression ratio up. Again, we're gonna also make up for it with piston dome, but again, anything you can take off here is that much less you have to have in mass relative to a piston. All right, so it's the end of the day. Hope you enjoyed it. Got a little more information on doing cylinder heads. Please click and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.